I started off by saying something about my Polish grandparents. They were married in 1895 and emigrated to Cape Town. And my mother was born into a very large Orthodox Jewish family. But my parents moved away and went to live in the interior of South Africa. For those of you who are not South African, it's pure desert. We call it the Karoo. And it was really a very different scene to the beautiful Cape of Good Hope. Anyhow, my mother remained very close to her family, and she had two sisters who lived close by. So each summer holiday, we packed up, we got on to the steam train. We spent 2 nights and 2 days in this very hot train, which stopped every half an hour, I think, along the way. And the children had a wonderful time, but of course it was quite a drag for the parents. Now this was a great reunion each year because the sisters came to stay in the grandparents' home, brought their children, and we were all very close and had a really wonderful time. This was a large, rambling Victorian home on the slopes of Table Mountain, and we had free range of everything, and it was really, I have communication with cousins and we all remember it, very fondly. Anyhow, my mother's mother was a small, very, very orthodox Bobber. She didn't speak much English, we didn't speak much Yiddish, but we all got on wonderfully. But at a certain stage, the daughters would realize it was too much for her, and we would get on the train, it's an electric train from Cape Town, and go out to Muizenberg on the other side of Table Mountain. Now, I as a child can remember throwing off my shoes on the train, and as soon as I got to Muizenberg, I put on my bathing costume and I never took it off all the time we were there. So I really felt that the beach and the surf became my home, and of course got very, very sunburnt and very brown during that time. Anyhow, Muizenberg was actually known to the Jews as Muizenberg, because this was really the summer meeting place. It was the Medina of South Africa. And our family had what you could call a permanent booking with a Victoria Hotel, which also was a very rambling Victorian building. It was very creaky and dusty. And it really catered just for 6 weeks of the year. And I've written here, we ate a hearty breakfast, followed by a hearty morning tea, followed by a hearty lunch, followed by a hearty afternoon tea, and finally a truly hearty dinner. And I must tell you, the adults always complained that it wasn't what it should have been. And the tariff was really costly, and it was said that families mortgaged their homes to come to Muizenberg once a year. Now, we, having gone year after year, we had made lots of friends with other families, and we met up again, and we got on the train, and as children, and we went all over, and it was really very safe. The beach, the swimming was very safe as well. So that we roamed that beach and the water, and nobody really worried about us. Now, one vision I have is of the elderly matrons bending down at the edge of the surf and tunking. Now, for those of you who don't know, tunking was pouring the sea water and the sand. You can imagine how gritty it was, down the costumes, and there were no inhibitions and no graces about it. It was just that sort of atmosphere where everybody was happy and we're having a wonderful time. And I've written here, never mind that in the afternoons, the wind blew and whipped up the sand and the sun disappeared behind the mountains. And the evenings were truly seaside, fresh and chilly. To take the lift, the adults donned their coats for the walk along the promenade to meet and greet. And it really was, if you remember, it was really chilly. And then there was the Pavilion Cafe, where the hungry horde flocked to enjoy the excellent rich milkshakes and ice cream. And the one thing I'll never forget is a shop in a dark, dingy alley that made the best ever kosher hot dogs. Fat red sausages covered with thick mustard on a white bread roll. Now this was for the people who really were eating to their heart's content. Then one thing I remember as I got older was the snake pit. Now this was a rectangular piece of sand cut off from the sea breeze by the promenade and then the bathing boxes. And it really was very hot and very stuffy, but this was really the meeting place for the youth. Now, I ended up by saying that the story goes that the Jews asked the then Prime Minister Jan Smuts to support a Jewish state in Palestine, and he replied, "What more do you want from me? I've already given you Muizenberg."